Intersection Magazine Podcast.
Welcome to Intersection Magazine Podcast. In this episode, I'll be sharing some ideas that I'm learning after some interaction with artificial intelligence tools to help boost my design skills, my web design skills. As always, thank you for subscribing. My name is Nicholas Kianda. I look forward to interacting with you even more. So just to give you a bit of background, I've been designing web pages on and off, or at least started learning about web page design probably around 1998. A friend of mine taught me how to go into the older browsers and to look into the certain sections that says view source. So that was back in the early days of HTML, hypertext markup language, where standard browsers would let you look at the code, and I think they still do, look at the basic code that was used to design the web page. Of course, a lot has changed. There's now so many other versions of HTML. I think we're now HTML5. Our pages are being designed with cascading style sheets and JavaScript. We've got content management systems which are dependent on databases to make design a little bit easier. We've got, for example, Joomlas, the WordPress, and others. So I've been designing with those for a while. Before that, I think I was also designing using Dreamweaver. Dreamweaver was set up really as a what you see is what you get system or design system, where you basically put in pictures, put in images, and then it does the coding for you. So this has been useful for specific projects when I was starting off, as well as when I'm putting together, for example, my family tree pages that are a bit more complex, that need interaction between images and text and a bit larger. So I needed some kind of template to work with. Now, we've been probably in the last 5 years going through a kind of wave where people have been talking about the possibilities that exist when you design with the use of artificial intelligence. So many guides have come up, from the use of prompts to what they now call vibe coding, where you instruct a system that has all the tools written within it to do the work for you. Now, let me tell you a little story about why this is so important. When I was designing with Dreamweaver, you basically had to take upon yourself the task of coming together with the design system, or the look, the feel, and it was a lot more painstaking. With the advent of tools like WordPress and Joomla, you now had a variety of templates that would be designed maybe for businesses, for portfolios, for NGOs, for all sorts of different projects. So you could choose based on the look and feel that you felt best represented what you were trying to do. So I evolved from using what you see is what you get to design using a content management system, which is what WordPress is. Now, what they normally have for these is you have tiers or different levels of design, where they'll give you a template, but they'll limit access to what different tools you have within that template. And this is really so they can at least make some money on their own. So that's what I decided I was going to do. You know, come up with, you know, an easier way of putting together or designing these pages. And then just using my knowledge or my skills in color choice to maybe change a few things here and there, where you have a logo, then you have your the company colors and things of that nature. So that's been the push for a while. Now, for those of you who are into user interface design, user experience design, there are tools. There's been a tool that I've had a lot of people talk about for a while now, called Figma. So when I was interacting with these different artificial intelligence tools, chatbots that help you with the task of web design, one of the tools asked me for a diagram or a picture of what I wanted to have designed, which it would then use to come up with the code. So I remembered that there are certain tools such as Figma that can help you do this. So I decided I was going to download Figma and have a go at it. Now, about 3 months ago, I came across some tools. I suppose I was asking around to see how I can boost engagement on my podcast. I have a podcast I've been running now for about 3 years. It covers technology and innovation, mainly Uganda, Greater East Africa, and beyond, where we basically cover topics such as innovation, investment, venture capital, you name it, anything related to the ecosystem. So this particular question I asked was around how to improve my engagement on my podcast. So it made some suggestions, one of which was to create an exclusive page for the podcast that would run, and if it was well built with search engine optimization, it would enable users to engage, and the people visiting my podcast would increase. So I took the suggestions and then started fishing around for someone who could help me design a page. I'd interacted with someone before, previous work, and so I sent a message just to explore a little bit about the costs. Now, I wanted a bigger project for the work that I do, but also I wanted a subdomain or a subdivision of that website to have something around my podcast. So I made some inquiries. So the job came up for maybe about between 2 and 3 million Uganda shillings, which is about maybe 1,000 USD. Of course, I didn't have the money, but I kept the vision in my mind about what I wanted to do. Now, the thing with designing or putting together podcast pages, first of all, it has to be able to put all your podcasts, for example, like I've done about maybe 120-ish series or episodes now, it has to put them all in one place. It will have a brief description of the podcast. Another thing that I think would be useful, and what most people do, is you have transcripts, so that people who want to extract your content for ideas can simply print out a minute-to-minute transcript of what you talked about, if they maybe missed certain sections because either you have a strange accent or maybe they missed something that you were talking about. So it's a rather complex idea. Anyhow, yesterday I downloaded, or 2 days ago I downloaded Figma. Had a bit of trouble getting Figma to work in Opera. Then I decided to use Internet Explorer, or the new version of Internet Explorer. So was going really well. So I found out with the free plan, there's a little wizard that you can use, or you make a request. It's kind of like the vibe coding idea. You just tell it what you want and it will do it for you. So simple prompting, create for me, a website for my podcast. So in about 3 minutes, it had already generated the first draft. Then I said, okay, now I want you to put this thing together with my podcast name, which is Intersection Magazine Podcast. 4 minutes later, the new changes had been made, both to the header and the footer. Then I said, I want you to. Actually, what I did first was I thought, let me connect the web page to the syndicated feeds that connected to the podcast where it originally has been hosted and designed, recorded. So I did that. I simply went to Spotify, creators.spotify.com, went to the settings section, then found the RSS feed. Now they made the changes, but as I could see that my podcast episodes are not being reflected in the page. So what I did then was I requested the system to fetch my podcast links and reflect them into this new design that I'm doing. About maybe 4 or 5 minutes later, the system came up, requested that I asked it also for not just the podcasts, but also I wanted it to have transcripts. So what it needs to do for that is to have the ability to extract my audio and turn that into text, and then of course create the transcript. So for that, it requested that I get an API from a certain system, which was also free. Had a little bit of trouble putting in the API secret, and then the system came up with a workaround. Next thing I know, it's generating transcripts, it's put together all my episodes onto the page. The only thing I now need to do is deploy this new page. So if you think about it, this is probably about maybe 500 USD worth of work done in maybe half a day. Something that would have taken a designer quite a lot of time and of course been an investment. What I think I'm going to do now is of course export this. There's a suggestion that you can export it as HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I'll export it as a file. When I'm ready to deploy, I'll put it together and send it to the podcast site. So this is just a small illustration of what is possible with the new tools that are available. Of course, there is a section in the work that you'll do when you're learning artificial intelligence and prompts. There's a section where you have to learn a little bit about prompt engineering. And even if you look at some of the work that the experts have put together around things as simple as an image can have a prompt to be effectively done, can have a prompt of maybe about half a page. I'm talking here maybe a simple picture that you ask the system to turn into maybe say a black and white silhouette or whatever. So there's much that we can learn about prompt engineering. Now the trick is with a lot of these prompt ideas, you can also use the same system such as the artificial intelligence tools that we have like ChatGPT or chatbots to help you generate prompts for these ideas. Incidentally, you could also capture the screenshot of the web page or the content that you're looking for, or the video, and then request a prompt from a chatbot such as the ones we've described, and then use those prompts to do what you need to get done. So whereas there's been some pushback from creators or developers who haven't felt that the sites or the work that's being done by vibe coders is technical enough and solid enough, I think one of the things that we can invest in is some extensive knowledge, a very descriptive knowledge of what you're basically trying to build, and then use the same artificial intelligence tool to generate the suitable prompt for what you're working on. So that's basically it for this episode, just a summary of what we're working on, the benefits that I have seen in using Figma, pretty much narrowing down a task that would have taken me $1,000 to about maybe half a day. If that's even stretching it a bit, it was much less time than that. And the use of a tool that obviously really works. So once again, thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Catch you later on the next episode. I've been your host, Nicholas Kianda. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing.
Intersection Magazine Podcast.